Hello, my friends, and welcome back to my channel. Hello from Hugo and Bailey and Tonka and Sophie as we take a walk on this no good, terrible, very bad, horrible weather day. I don't know how we're going to see anything today, but we're going to try. Since we're not going to see much of anything today, I thought maybe we'd do a quick talk on a question I get asked a ton, which is, how in the world do you find time for all of this? And the answer isn't quite as simple as I'd like it, but it's not terrible, right? The answer is I find time for all of this because I like it, because most of what I do, I choose to do. And if I didn't have time or didn't want to do it, I wouldn't do it. But let's talk a little bit about time management. So I work a full-time job. I run the farm here. I run a couple of social groups as well, one for knitting and crocheting, a few online. I do run a couple of Facebook pages. I run my YouTube channel. I run my own website. We're just walking through the barn. And all sorts of other things that I can't even think about right now. So time management for me is key, right? How do you manage to get that all done? And there's a couple of things that I say that are, fairly straightforward, right? I manage everything the way I do because it's scheduled. I do try and keep things a little bit organized, actually very organized to be fair. I work as efficiently as possible. And when at all possible, I keep things routine because routine means that they go faster. But there's a couple of other things, right? Like today's a perfect example. This weekend was busy and we had some family activities, plus the weather was terrible. And so I needed to get the stalls cleaned and get some of my girls groomed because I have two girls that are due to be groomed. And typically I would do that on a Sunday, and that's my Sunday morning routine. Clean the stalls, do the two girl groomings. Now I take videos while I do that, and it works out really well. This Sunday it did not work because I had plans on Sunday with the family, so I had to get it done on Saturday. Except Saturday was just disgusting torrential pouring rain downpour, which meant I couldn't get it done. And now here we are Monday, and the weather's still terrible. So I'm feeling a bit behind, but I'm not stressed about it. One of the good things about having a routine and a schedule is that it can flex, and that it's not the end of the world if it has to flex. So I don't want to get all the way to next weekend. There's Fren running. She's so cute. All the way to next weekend without getting those things done, especially the stall cleaning. It absolutely needs to get done. But I'm not terribly stressed that it isn't done yet. It's only been an extra day. And if it gets done tomorrow, it'll be fine. And I'll still have time and a break and a breather between the next stall cleaning on Sunday. So that's really sort of the message, right, around time management is, 1, have a schedule. 2, be flexible about your schedule, but don't flex it to the point that it runs into the next scheduled event, right? So I won't flex grooming the two girls all the way to next weekend, even though, again, that would not be a problem, because that means that in order to catch up, I'd need to do 4 girls on a weekend. Totally manageable. But why do that to myself, right? It's extra time out of that day, and it eliminates the ability for me to do other things on that day. So scheduling is important. Organization is important. The other thing, the other trick that I have, I'm getting in out of the rain now because even the goats have come in out of the rain. The other trick that I have is sometimes when I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, I actually add more. More work, more effort, more things. You'll notice our brooder is empty right now. Everybody's in the grow out pen, but because it's raining, they're all inside their huts and coops. So can't even show you anybody today. Boy, they're being uncooperative. Oh, hi, Gosling. He came out to say hi, he or she. I love that he poked his little head out when he heard me. Hi, buddy. Anyway, so add more stuff, right? And I know that sounds really weird, but if you temporarily add more stuff, I find that that means I have to be much more in control about what I'm doing. I have to be much more deliberate about it because I don't have the luxury of passing time. Whoa, somebody's escaping. I don't have the luxury of passing time with, auxiliary stuff because now I've got extra things on my schedule. So, this is a perfect example, right? I've got a ton of chicks and turkey here in our brooder. Our turkey have clearly decided that they're old enough to start to escape. Goofies. So they need to move out to the brooder. And I've been avoiding that because that just means I've got an extra thing to manage. So now I have birds outside in the grow out pen. I have birds inside in the tack room, and I'll have birds in the brooder. Another thing to clean, to manage, to feed, to water. But it's temporary. It's very short-lived. And that little extra add-on of more work when I'm stressed or when I'm feeling overwhelmed gives me the ability to focus, get things done, because again, I don't have the luxury of not getting it done. I've got too much already and now I've got more. And that temporary blip, even if it's a week or two, when that extra chore, as silly as it sounds, that extra chore is an extra 5 minutes or so, goes away, suddenly you're back to a pace that feels manageable, that feels realistic. So I have those cycles happen all the time, right? When baby goats come, it's overwhelming. I've got so much to do. I've got extra stalls to clean. Then I get into a routine. It gets very manageable because I'm in a routine. And then the baby goats go home and I don't have all that work. And then I find myself with all this time on my hands. So by having that flexibility of schedule, by having that ability to be deliberate in the choices I make about what I do and where I spend my time, gives me the ability to manage it all. That doesn't mean it's perfect. It absolutely still sometimes gets chaotic. I still sometimes fall behind. But the key for me is, one, I want to do these things, okay? Because I want to do them, then it makes the work around doing them easier. It makes it more manageable. It makes it more palatable. Second is I'm organized about it. So I have a routine. I have a schedule. Monday is clean the bird cage in the house and clean the fish tank. Tuesday is laundry day. Wednesday is something else, right? And it goes on and on and on. And for every chore that's on a routine, cleaning a cage, cleaning a stall, cleaning, grooming a goat, etc., I have it on calendar. And it's a task that needs to get done on that specific day. And if it doesn't get done, I just move it to the next day. And I don't let it move all the way till it's on top of the next iteration of that particular task. And as long as that happens, then we're fine, right? Does it mean that sometimes I have an extra long day because, life gets in the way? Absolutely. There are also days I get an extra short day, like this weekend, Saturday. Saturday, I got absolutely nothing done. And I enjoyed a day off, essentially, because the rain was terrible. Getting anything done that's normal on my Saturday was just not reasonable. It wasn't possible. So that's the key to time management. The other key and the last tip I'll leave you with is let go of the things that aren't serving you, right? And there's been all sorts of, if it doesn't spark joy, make it go away. But I do mean that. If it isn't serving you, If it doesn't make you feel good about what you've got, if you're not passionate about it in some way, shape, or form, I mean, certainly there are certain things you have to do and you just have to do it. But if you're doing something like, let's call it volunteer work, and that volunteer work has become more of a drag on you than a joy, it's time for a change. Take a break, take a pause, find something else, change it up a bit. That really does make a difference. So wasn't exactly the time management course I teach at work. At work, I teach one that's a little bit more about how to manage your email and your inbox and everything else. But this particular TED Talk on time management is more about, how do I get it all done in a day? And the answer is sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But in the general scheme of things, I get it done with organization, with a little bit of calendar management, with a little bit of schedule management, a lot of flexibility, and a lot of leeway to forgive myself when things don't go the way they're supposed to. So I hope you're having a fabulous day. I hope it's not raining where you are today. And if it is, well, maybe tomorrow will be better. And I thank you for hanging in there with me. We'll talk to you next time. Bye for now.